And we begin with the greeting words of the righteous. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah, all praises to Allah. The month of Ramadan has been moving along, and Muslims throughout the world have fasted, have made their salat, have made intentions, have given to the poor, have called to the good, and forbidden the evil. We are now in the last third of the month. And it is of critical importance for Muslims to begin to take account of themselves. We need to look at this month. We need to look at our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to project into the future so that these moments will not go astray, that we will get the blessings of all of the time that we put in, all of the fasting, all of the dua, everything that we have done during this sacred month. In the beginning, we found out that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in defining this month and defining fasting to the believers, has informed us in Surah Al-Baqarah, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed on you as it was prescribed on those who came before you, in order that you would have taqwa, in order that you would have the consciousness of God. And so Allah Azza wa Jal, the creator of the heavens and the earth, in putting together a divine plan for fasting, knowing that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would be the messenger for all times, knowing that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, being an Arab, his message was spread outside of the Arabian Peninsula, that the final call of Islam would affect Muslims in everything that they did, that this consciousness coming out of the month, this taqwa, is so important. This taqwa is the basis of a healthy Islamic personality. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it clear to us that this is the essence of the fast. This is what has been prescribed on us, prescribed on the believers, as it was prescribed and written on those who came before us. Taqwa itself, as the great ulama of Islam have shown us, is a combination of al-khawf wa-raja. It is a combination of fear and hope. And through that consciousness that develops in the relationship between the human being and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a type of wiqaya, a type of spiritual shield develops around the believer. And that taqwa, we have also learned, is a type of stimulant, in that khawf, fear, makes you jump back from something. You move away from it. Hope, ar-raja, makes you move towards something. And so taqwa itself is a dynamic force within the individual. But what we need to understand is that for every positive, there is a negative. And if we understand the negative, if we protect ourselves from the opposite of what we are seeking, then inshallah it gives us more possibility that we can be successful in this life and in the hereafter. The great scholars of Islam have shown us that the opposite of taqwa, anything that inhibits the believer, that stops the one who submits to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, anything that does the opposite of taqwa is ghurur. It is a form of deception. And this concept is a crucial concept that we need to look at over and over again. Especially in the end of this month, we need to totally focus on deception itself and all the dangers that come therein. The great ulama have shown us that ghurur can fall in many different categories. But a general definition of it could go as follows. كُلُّ مَا يَغُرُّ الْإِنسَانِ مِنْ مَالٍ وَجَاهٍ وَشَهْوَةٍ وَشَيْطَانٍ. Anything that deceives a person, whether it be his wealth, whether it be his position in life, whether it be desires, or whether it be the shaitan himself, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. Anything like this could fall in the category of ghurur. And when we look at the term and how it's been used in many places in the Quran and in the sayings of the Prophet, peace be upon him, we find that ghurur means deception. It can also mean delusion. So a person is deluded and thinking that he's one thing, but he's actually the opposite. Or it can mean an illusion. It also refers to vanity and to trifles. And so ghurur is a very important concept for us because it is the opposite of taqwa, which we have learned is so important that the Imams instituted it into the Jumu'ah prayer of every week. And so a person can be deceived by their wealth. A person can be deceived by the material things around them, thinking that through this wealth they have happiness, but yet they don't actually live in happiness. A person can also be deceived by their position. They may think that because they are the leader of the people, because they have a big title, that they are respected by the people, but maybe they are really feared. And so all of these lofty positions, all of these material-based positions can actually cause a deception or a delusion in the mind of an individual. The reality that comes in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah tells us in Surah Ali Imran in verse 185, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم كل نفس ذائقة الموت. Every soul must taste death. وإنما توفون أجوركم يوم القيامة فمن زحزح عن النار وأدخل الجنة فقد فاز وما الحياة الدنيا إلا متاع الغرور. Allah tells us in this verse, every soul shall taste death, and only on the day of resurrection shall you be paid your wages in full. And whoever is removed away from the fire and admitted into paradise is indeed successful. The life of this world is nothing but material deception. And so we see in this divine formula, we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bringing us reality. Every soul must taste death. A great scholar even once said that death is the real reality. That death, when a person actually dies, that you're literally waking up. Because the time in this world is very short. So that death, which is the eternal existence of the individual, that is the real reality going into the final zone. So, kullu nafsin da'iqatul maut. Every soul must taste death to go through this process and then into the next world. This is the real reality. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us then after that, and surely on the day of judgment, you will be repaid your wages in full. If you've done things that are good, you shall receive goodness for that. If you have done evil, then you shall receive evil and the punishment for what you have done in this world. And following this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that whoever enters the paradise, whoever enters Jannah, that is the person who is truly successful. And the one who is in the fire is the person who is truly a loser. But then, the interesting part of this verse that we are focusing on, وَمَا الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. The life of this world is nothing but material deception. It's in front of our eyes. We think it is there, and we taste it and smell it and live inside of it, but it is not permanent. So those who feel the life of this world is permanent are being deceived by an evil deceiver. When we look at the world today, we find many instances of this, especially in the level that many people are living today, that through the materials, human beings feel that they control the earth. They feel they even control their future. They build their houses as though they will live forever. They establish their bank accounts as though they will live forever. But the reality is, it's only a deception. In Canada, a few years ago, a family, a young girl in particular, won the lottery. She won millions of Canadian dollars, and the whole of Canadian society stood still. They said, she's in paradise. But when they came on a television program, the father said, may God help us. He was a wise person. Because the next day, they tried to move in next to them. They threatened their lives. They wanted to marry the girl. And so the family was in such turmoil because of winning millions of dollars on the lottery. They had to move their dwelling to another place. So the money that was supposed to have given them freedom, to have given them paradise, put them in prison. وَمَا الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. The life of this world is nothing but material deception. In the UK, a man won the lottery. Millions of pounds came into his possession with no work because of a number. And the whole of the UK, the United Kingdom, stood still. The people said, he's in paradise. He has everything that he wants. And in getting the money, he forgot the reality of his body and his life, and he began to buy different precious items. He bought caviar from Russia. He imported the finest wines from France. He bought the finest of foods from Italy, the finest noodles from China. He bought all the different expensive items that he could think of, and he began to eat and eat and eat until he gained 300 pounds and he dropped dead. So the wealth, the money that was supposed to give him life, took his life. وَمَا الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. The life of this world is nothing but material deception. So we need to consider this in the month of Ramadan. When we are coming near the end of this great training session, we need to consider what will happen to us following this month. That the life of this world that we will go into, it is only a material deception. There is not much time that is left in our existence, so we need to use this for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and dedicate ourselves to the truth. I leave you with these thoughts, and I ask Allah to have mercy on me and you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.